This week I've been driving the 2026 $45,000 GMC Terrain Denali. I'm going to tell you what it's like compared to a vehicle that I just tested last week out in California, which is a direct rival to this, which is the Honda CR-V hybrid. Does this refreshed GMC have the chops and the updates to make it competitive in this really hot compact crossover segment? Today, make sure to stay to the end because we're going to look for deals in my area. Then we're going to put it on the spreadsheet and compare it to other vehicles I've also reviewed so far in 2025. Let's start by going under the hood of this 2026 GMC Denali Terrain. Now, there's just one powertrain option for the GMC Terrain. And is it going to be enough versus the competition? Which, I mean, we have a new RAV4 coming out later this year that's full. I'm gonna get this hood, I promise. Oh, that is heavy. The new RAV4, for example, hybrid. Honda has hybrids, Kia, Hyundai has hybrids, Ford has a hybrid, right, of the Escape. Not here on the GMC Terrain. Just a 1.5 liter turbo 4-cylinder, 175 horsepower, and about 200 pound-feet of torque, a little over. Those power numbers actually fall short of Honda's base turbocharged engine. However, this does have an 8-speed automatic and all-wheel drive on the Denali GMC. But if you get front-wheel drive with the GMC Terrain, you will have a CVT. All right, so I think going to the all-wheel drive is definitely a worthy upgrade to get an 8-speed auto now, which I believe replaced a 9-speed auto previously, and yeah, that's the way I would be going. As this engine idles here, it's actually pretty quiet. Big GMC badging here, and then of course with any Denali you're gonna have chrome all over the place. Let me know if you guys like the chrome on the Denalis. Now for 2025 they updated a few things. It does have fancier headlights, of course, with new animations, but they made the grille kind of tie in. The fog lights, which of course are right down there, and connected to the headlights. As we come to the side, we have 20-inch wheels, and these wheels actually look like very similar wheels to, if you look at like a Lexus NX luxury model, they have very similar wheels to this. It does not drive like a Lexus. I'll show you here in a little bit, and that's okay. I'm not expecting it to, but we're getting close. At $45,000, we're getting close to Lexus territory. All right, I like the roof rails here. Also new for 2026, I believe, is this two-tone. I believe you can get a gray two-tone roof as well as this black that you see here. Blacked out mirrors, which are accented by plenty of chrome on the window surround. We got the Summit white paint color. We have smart key access and chrome accented door handles. Of course, the Denali badge. Long running strip at the bottom of chrome. We come to the back. Let me know if you guys like these little garnishes here. I think it looks nice. It kind of breaks up what we see as the average wheel arch nowadays, which is typically not even paint match. The Denali looks quite good here with the paint match. Now, if you want a more rugged look, the AT4 with the blacked out trimmings is probably going to be a better option for most people. Terrain with the all-wheel drive badge. This will tow about 1,500 pounds. Big chrome strip at the bottom. And like from the back, this vehicle looks really small. From the front, it looks absolutely enormous. All right, we need to hustle this up because I'm about ready to get smoked by the mosquitoes right now. I like the all-weather rubber mat that's included in this particular model. It's great to have that at $45,000. Spare tire is underneath the underneath this additional hidden storage areas, so that's kind of nice. We have one accessory power, probably 150 to 180 watts there from the 12 volt. You can fold the seats down, tons of cargo capacity, especially if you fold the seats down here. Electronic lift gate, getting in the back seat. I love this gray interior. The materials, well, kind of have like this real light brown. We have a dark brown here, hard touch, of course more chrome. And we also have this real nice beige interior. I think it looks like, I mean, the door looks more beige and the seats look more gray. I know on the camera it also looks different. All right, let me know if you guys can see the difference, but this looks more of a whitish gray and this looks like more of a beige, but maybe it's just the morning lighting setting it off. The stitching looks actually pretty nice here. Getting on the inside, we have this panel roof. Let's go ahead and open her up. There we go. Let's open up that panel roof to get the beautiful morning sun coming through. It's great to have a panel roof. Lots of headroom, I would say, even with the panel roof. Tons of legroom, a completely flat floor, even with all-wheel drive. Now these seats don't recline. That's all they have. And I feel like I'm leaning back quite a bit. I would like to be more upright here in the rear, and I don't have that option. Denali has heated outboard seats, of course vents, USB-Cs down at the bottom, mat pockets on each side, and they are quite nice. I will say this seat right here, it does raise quite high. You can see that, which is great for shorter passengers up front. And it is power adjustable on the height end, which is pretty rare in this segment, I would say. Cup holders, folding down. Ooh, these are the nice GMC ones that have the bubbles that keep your stuff in place. Get into the front seat. Materials, much softer material here. Memory seats, of course. There's your trunk or hatch lifter. You can see your power seat here, lumbar control included, the Denali embossed on the headrest here. The seats feel really, really soft and cozy. They should, for what you're paying for it. I do not have a head-up display. Now this is kind of odd. Typically in a top-of-the-line trim, you see whether it's Bose or JBL or Harman Kardon or whatever, you'll see that badging throughout the cabin, and I can't see any badging for a specific sound team or a specific brand. So I'm gonna, I'll make sure to listen to these speakers a little bit more closely during the review, and I'll tell you if they're any good or not. All right, steering wheel, leather wrapped, quite nice. Stitching is pretty messy. Luckily it's not contrast stitching, so it's not going to stick out too much. Paddle shifters, we're going to turn down this defrost or defogger. We will do a 0 to 60, that's why this box is out. 15-inch screen here, very familiar compared to the Yukon AT4 Ultimate I was in the other week. This screen has its pros and cons. We'll talk about it when we start driving, but I like that it has lots of real estate. That's its strongest point. Lots of real estate. Big volume knob here. You do have climate control switches. We do have heated and ventilated seats here. I believe the heated seats are standard throughout the Terrain lineup. We have an 11-inch screen behind here, and it'll cycle through your different maps with this button, which is pretty nice, I guess. If you want to have this screen saved for maybe music or something else, and then you can put your maps up there. Or maybe you like duplication, you can have maps on both screens. This is my favorite screen because it gives me the tach, digital speedometer, if my music's playing right there, and then my trip meters here. 25 miles per gallon is really what you're going to see in the Denali, which falls well short of a lot of the competition, which are around 40 miles per gallon that offer hybrid powertrains. All right, here's auto brake hold, which it's telling me I need to put my seatbelt on for that. Auto start stop, all-wheel drive force if you need it, and then you also have your different drive modes: tow, haul, snow, ice, and yeah, no sport mode or anything like that, which is fine with me. 2 USBs here, cargo there, 2 big cup holders, wireless, phone charger, a rubber mat down there at the deep console storage, and then we have a digital rear view mirror for you guys as well if you like that extra technology. Also new technology, they also baked in a bunch more safety features. Standard is blind spot monitor, bicyclist detection, all that stuff. That doesn't get me too excited. I'd rather just drive the GMC Terrain, so let's go ahead and do that. 360 camera here, I like. It's pretty high resolution, to be honest, so well done there, GMC. Auto start stop just turned on. I just defeated it because we're gonna do a 0 to 60. I didn't notice the engine turn off. There's a slight bump in the vehicle when it turns back on, but really it's a pretty well done and implemented auto start stop system here. Takes a bit to get there. 9.5 seconds, essentially 0 to 60. 9.5. I forced all-wheel drive there. I wouldn't be surprised if it would be a hair quicker in just the 2-wheel drive application of power. But there you have it. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 10.16. Not a burner by any means. I'm not expecting this vehicle to have much performance, but essentially when you start getting over $40,000, I'm expecting pretty brisk acceleration. Now, while from a stop acceleration is not that impressive, I do like the torque of this 4-cylinder. It does feel like a bigger engine than what it is. You just pedal down and it does start going quite nicely. But yeah, it's that acceleration is short-lived. So passing power, passing response is decent, but yeah, acceleration from a stop is not the forte of the Terrain. All right, so engine aside, there is a weird thing that goes on with this vehicle. By the way, the brakes are amazing. Really strong brakes, great application of power. Let's go, speaking of that power, let's go ahead and, there's a weird thing. So it does not handle that great. It feels fairly firm, but it feels also heavy at the same time, strangely, because I know this vehicle is not that heavy. I don't know if it's just first gear only. I'll come to a stop. There's no one behind me. Again, I love the brakes in here. I got a wobble. Yeah, it's not good. It's mainly in first gear. I get like a wobble in the front wheels under heavier acceleration. I don't know if it's a CV axle issue. I don't know what's going on there. I mean, this vehicle only has about 1,200 miles on it. So, I mean, there could be, someone could have whacked the wheels out of balance, a different journalist. I don't know. But I only feel it mainly in first gear under hard acceleration. So, I don't know. Let me know if you guys have driven this vehicle and you have a weird acceleration wobble in the wheels, okay? Road noise is also really loud in here. These tires, I don't know if it's these tires or wheels, it's a high resonance or high volume of a resonance that booms through the cabin, okay? So while the wheels may look like they're taking off a Lexus NX in some ways, the road noise is loud here, and very unpleasant. Sometimes road noise, it can be a bit of a white noise, but the Terrain has, there's that shimmy again in the front wheels. But yeah, it's just, these tires are loud, especially if you're going to like 55 sustained. It's a little bit much. Now, ride quality is fine. I think it's a pretty comfortable ride. Soaks up the bumps pretty well. I have no issue with overall comfort itself. Comfort on my elbows is quite good. Comfort in the seat is good. I do feel like I'm sitting a little bit on top of the seat, but I still feel like it's comfortable. Now the cushion, I would love to have thigh extension here. And during my walk around, I said, when you see the Terrain from the back, it looks small, it looks compact. But when you drive it, the hood is so brawny and trucky and like masculine. I mean, some people might like that. It feels like I'm driving an enormous battering ram, but I know the vehicle is not that big. Another vehicle I've driven recently that had a similar effect was like the Acura ADX. Like, the manufacturers love the idea of making their hood seem enormous. I don't know, maybe people want to feel like they're driving something big. Maybe it makes them feel safe. To me, I don't know. It feels like it's cutting a little bit into my visibility. It's a very minor annoyance, but you guys may be saying I'm just finding things to complain about. But it is noticeable, and it feels like I'm in a much bigger vehicle than what I am. May that be a good thing or bad thing? I'll let you guys decide that. We're gonna throw it in the turns again here. Hopefully we can get a little momentum. Hopefully no one gets the green light. We can take this at a little bit of speed. Yep, we're doing okay here. Oh man. Yeah, a good amount of vibration through the steering wheel from this 4-cylinder. A little bit through the pedals, but the floor vibrations are pretty minimal with these all-weather mats. I was chuckling a little bit back there because I'm in front-wheel drive, and I just did like a front-wheel drive kind of burnout, accelerating out of the turn there, It didn't really send, you know, in that sort of slippage, it should have immediately started sending power to the rear wheels, but I didn't feel that sensation. If it did, it was a very minor rear application of all-wheel drive. I don't know if you have to select all-wheel drive here for all-wheel drive to kick in. That might be a thing. Well, I mean, I'm not very familiar with GMC's all-wheel drive Terrain system, but at least the brakes here are fantastic. All right, so with this screen here, with this big touchscreen, yes, it's beautiful. The issue with it is like the icons are pretty small, and you know, if you need to touch something on it, you really need to like reach your hand to stabilize somewhere on the edge of the screen. But again, the screen's so big, it's definitely an inconvenience. Look how small the Android Auto icons are. This is how big the Android Auto is in here, which is absolutely enormous. It's like an 8x8 square, like a brownie pan square size of navigation screen. It is pretty huge. All right, so let's go and listen to the music, and I'll tell you what I think about it. Obviously, copyright stuff. Yeah, all I needed was about 20 seconds of Still Dre to tell you that this sound system's pretty bad. It's very unacceptable for such an expensive. In a Denali, you should expect a good sound system. And I think I had like a really high-end, if I remember right, on the Yukon Ultimate, a really high-end Bose system, and it sounded great. This is bad. This is a bad sound system. It sounds like a bass sound system. It gets loud, but it doesn't sound good. The bass is mediocre at best, and the mids and highs are trash. All right, so that's really a huge misstep. Your top of the trim, your top level trim should be like, you should be putting, I can see 6x9, so you could upgrade this system, but yeah, it's very unfortunate, this sound system.
Since I was driving when it was pretty cloudy and overcast during the review, I forgot to bring up what happens during the sun, or when the sun is out. You cannot go down the road without being blinded by the steering wheel. The Denali is surrounded by chrome on the steering wheel, but the steering wheel center portion itself, you see the airbag area, that is completely surrounded by chrome. That was blinding me. All the buttons are surrounded by chrome, which is blinding me. The spokes at the bottom of the steering wheel is chrome, which was blinding me. One of the most, actually, no, not one of, it was the most distracting and terrible steering wheels for visibility that I've ever tested.
Let's go into the office. Let's take a look at the GMC Terrain in my area, talk about some of its competitors, and put it on the spreadsheet. Is it a good buy?
Looking at GMC Terrains in my area, we still have some 25s sitting around. The Denali and the price it commands, there's nothing about it that is anywhere close to living up to that price point. So if we look at like a front wheel drive elevation, but again, you might run into that CVT situation here, which is not going to be a good experience either. So maybe I'll do elevation all wheel drive, okay, because getting this in a CVT, I'm just 35K. Let's see if I can find the lowest price here. 33K, that's a little bit better. All right, but let's look at some of the rivals here. CRV hybrid blows this thing out of the water. It's not even close. This vehicle feels extremely refined and just built to another level of class in every sense of the word compared to that Denali I drove today. It doesn't really matter the price of the Honda CRV. There are actually a ton of them in my area, almost 2,000. You're going to be able to get a screaming deal on a CRV hybrid because of the availability of them. Low 30s we're seeing. Again, let's go back to this vehicle. The cheapest you're going to find these, more than likely, unless you're getting a CVT, which I don't recommend, it's about 35K. And you can get a CRV Sport Hybrid, which is going to run laps around it. It's going to be more efficient. It's going to be just a better experience overall. What about a RAV4 Hybrid? Not as many out there. And let's see what the lowest price, what can you get in here for in a base LE, low 32,000. I'd rather have a Honda Sport Hybrid. over the base RAV4s. Okay, but you can still get into them for low 30s. CX5, they don't come in a hybrid yet. They will soon. As I've been briefing on the channel. And we do have like a 6-speed auto. You're not going to have a CVT. Look, you can get them for under $30,000. This is a way better vehicle than the Terrain, built in Japan. CX50 hybrid, if you want a hybrid from Mazda, there's actually a 300. There's quite a few out there. In my area, you're going to be able to get deals on these things. Look, price drops $30,000. And what about something like the Hyundai Tucson? Well, you can get the hybrids for around $30,000 too. Look, $4,000 price drop. So like all these vehicles that I like, the Tucson hybrid, the CX50 hybrid, the CX5, RAV4 hybrid, CRV hybrid, all of them are leagues better than this Terrain. So let's put it on the spreadsheet. Yeah, it does absolutely nothing better than any rival in this segment. Yes, like having a digital rear mirror is cool. So does, I mean, RAV4 you can get that if you want. A panel roof, great. Like also RAV4 can get a panel roof. It feels very poor quality. This is one of the worst vehicles I've driven this year. All right, now looking at, it's not even a solid buy. It's not even close to that, okay? Is it a fire sale only? Let's see here. Let's look at these other vehicles I've driven this year. So the fire sale only, and the answer is, oh man, probably it's so underwhelming that it might be pay me to drive. I think it is because it's just not a good experience. I enjoy driving so like everything else besides the Hummer EV SUV, which is also a GMC product. But again, the GMC Yukon all-terrain, where is that? It's somewhere in here. Yeah, the AT4 here. It was a good vehicle. It got really expensive, but it was executed very, very well. It felt very quality. There's nothing about the GMC Terrain Denali that feels quality. Absolutely. The seats are, the comfort's good, but outside of that, really loud tire and wheel noise, shaky propulsion system, bad sound system, really expensive how it was equipped for me. Not very efficient, 25 miles per gallon. Like it doesn't, like the brakes were great. The brakes were the best thing about the GMC Terrain. I don't review cars only on braking capability. GMC Terrain, great brakes, not worth anywhere close to the price. Like I would absolutely pick a Nissan Rogue over it, despite the CVT. All right, I'll see you guys in the comments. Let me know if you agree or disagree. I know this is like a more expensive Equinox. I haven't driven an Equinox in a long time. I've driven the Equinox EV. That vehicle is perfectly okay. There's nothing wrong with it. But I haven't driven a gas Equinox. And if this is supposed to be a better gas Equinox, I wonder how I would rate the Equinox. So I don't know. Thank you guys. Have a great day. Stay tuned for more. Peace.